Look at that.
It's coming from the
Snow's
sky.
just falling.
It's snowflakes.
They are snowflakes. Hi, if we haven't met before, I'm Janine. I am a registered yoga teacher and birth doula, mother, all that good stuff. And I'm here today to finally sit down properly and talk about my health journey. I keep using the word journey. I really want to expand my vocabulary because I'm actually growing kind of tired of saying the word journey. I don't know what else to call it, but yeah, like take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not a dietitian, and I recognize that everybody's body is different, and maybe there's like something in here that might help you at least put you further in the direction that you'd like to go if you're looking for any tips, or if you just want to hear what someone else has gone through. I know that it is a whole process for all of us, especially as you go through that second puberty, getting into your late 20s, early 30s. Maybe we can just compare notes on the whole thing. And I'm going to include pictures. So I grew up like the typical 90s baby. I ate Eggos and Pop-Tarts, you know, cereal in the morning. My parents were generally always into fitness, very athletic. My mother was a gymnast. My dad, he was weightlifting and running and keeping up a healthy lifestyle, and they kind of modeled that to me. From time to time, they would, you know, cook healthy meals. But yeah, I was pretty athletic as well. I would walk a lot, I would ride my bike, I was on the track team, and I grew up hiking all the time, and I still hike to this day. My body type has always been quite petite. You know, I'm 5'2". So I would say I am pretty fortunate. I grew up with a basic understanding of health and a good compass of knowing how my body feels. So I applaud my mom and dad for trying to model to me the healthiest lifestyle that they knew about. I didn't really have a knowledge about things like organic and whole foods till I was like maybe 18, 19 years old. I got into college, I majored in kinesiology, and I took a few health classes. At that time I realized that while I was in my health classes with, you know, the portion size plate, and it's kind of outdated, and so I was also simultaneously trying to learn more about nutrition and health outside of the traditional education. So I did a lot of research. Brandon, my husband's grandmother, really helped us understand this. She sort of took us and taught us a lot about cooking and detoxes. There was like a year where I took a break between high school and college just to kind of be free, and during that time I did a fair bit of partying. So when I left that lifestyle and started wanting to take my health and my hormones more seriously, I was listening to some chiropractors podcasts, going to some classes and seminars. What did we do? We did all kinds of stuff. Oh my gosh. I remember when we got into doing like coffee enemas. I remember kind of roping my friends and my roommates into doing enemas. But you know what? Some of us ended up feeling really good after that. I never did a coffee enema, but I heard good things. I just did water. I don't know if that's TMI. It's kind of weird, but whatever. I also did like a liver and gallbladder, tomato and garlic detox. It was, I will say it was so good. I was fresh and new, and like I felt healthy. Pretty much I went through a period of detoxing and taking my health more seriously. I stopped eating microwaved foods. And sorry if some of this seems extreme. You don't have to do all these extreme things. I'm just merely telling you the things I've done to get to where I am now, and it doesn't necessarily mean that these are the things that were good. It's just what I was trying to it was just me trying to figure out my body. And the reason that I really had wanted to detox is because I felt kind of, in a way, I could tell that my body was sort of worn out and a little bit malnourished. I wasn't feeling very good in my gut, and I was just feeling sort of stuck. So when I ended up detoxing, I felt more loose and open, and also I had done my first yoga teacher training, the 200-hour, when I was 19. So I was really opening and expanding, shopping at Sprouts and Whole Foods. Before that, I just kind of was shopping at Ralph's, which in California is just like the basic grocery store where there weren't a lot of healthy options. I've since been there though, and now they have healthy options, but that just wasn't the case in the past. One of my teachers had introduced the idea of sitting down and really chewing your food slowly and sitting with it. This habit is something I really need to practice now, but there was a time when I was slowing down, really feeling how foods made me feel. But then, you know, as the kids got older and were running around, I started scarfing my food down super fast again. So, you know, I've fallen out of some of these really great habits that kind of helped get me to where I am now, but these were stepping stones of just getting to know food. And I still ate fast food. I remember I really struggled with stopping going through the McDonald's drive-thru because there was so much sentimental value to me, especially when I was around my period. I also had made the decision to go off my birth control at one point. I could really feel how it was affecting my hormones, and it was making me really, really nauseous. The detoxes had really helped balance my hormones as well. I remember we tried the raw diet where we only ate the raw fruits, vegetables, and at one point we moved over to like also raw carnivore diet. I know, you might think it's gross. I felt really good on that diet, and I had no health problems from doing it, and I remember I got some funny looks on that one, but truthfully I was just trying to bring back, you know how when it's sort of like when a farmer has to turn over the soil and really bring new nutrients in. They have to not always plant the same thing in the ground every single time, but maybe get a different kind of fruit, and enriching the soil and adding diversity into the soil so that everything has so that there's more nutrition for the plants growing. It's kind of like that in my body. I felt so depleted at one point that I needed to just bring back a variety of new foods, new fruits and vegetables. If anything, during that time when I was buying all kinds of cookbooks and things, I felt that the most important thing was just eating whole foods, drinking more water, enriching the soil with a diversity of foods. I just really tried everything, and I drank all kinds of juices. I got super into kombucha. I even made kombucha at one point. It was a really fun time. Fast forward to having my kids, I know that for most people don't really focus on their health until after they've had kids and after they've had that huge shift where your health becomes everything if you want to be able to keep up with everything that's going on. And pregnancy is also very activating. You know, it activates parts of the body that were dormant until that time. And so when my milk came in, I remember it was a whole thing, and breastfeeding, and I remember just when I was pregnant I was sweating, I was like detoxing even more, it felt like. My body was changing shape and form, and I'm gonna make a whole separate video on this. I really wish that there was someone who could kind of have warned me or explained to me what was going to happen so that I wouldn't have freaked out so much about the changes, because it's like, is this supposed to be happening? Like, it can be kind of frightening, just because I don't have a lot of time today to really get into that. Do that in a separate video so I can really hone in on it. When I was breastfeeding, it makes you so hungry, and I had so much milk and so I was just eating, breastfeeding, and when you're breastfeeding, you can really deplete your stores because you're giving your baby that nutrients while you're growing the baby and when you're breastfeeding baby. So I remember we did the raw milk, which I really felt was like a game changer for me when I was breastfeeding. I don't know what it was about it, but I felt like it was what I needed to survive at that time. And like I had never had milk like that growing up, and so my body was just loving it and eating it up. I know that's a controversial subject. I remember when we had lived in Georgia for a time, you couldn't even get non-pasteurized milk. I was eating a lot of goat cheese, just raw dairy products. I was a little bit bigger, had a lot more fluid in my body at the time. My figure definitely has changed through all of my different pregnancies and postpartum periods. We got into like eating liver. I know that sounds gross, but it has a lot of minerals in it, and I really felt that, and my postpartum recovery was incredible. I know that this might be shocking to some of you, because I know that some of you know me as a vegan. Don't worry, we're getting to that. But then, so I drink coffee. I was a coffee drinker, but I quit coffee for my pregnancies. So I ended up around like age 24 getting addicted to coffee because we were doing the French pour over. I was brewing it myself, and I got completely, still to this day, addicted. I remember there was one point, just to keep up with motherhood, I was drinking like 4 cups of coffee a day, and I became so dehydrated, it was disgusting. And I didn't know much about adrenal fatigue at the time, but everybody was warning me not to get addicted to coffee, but I couldn't help it because I was just so overtired from not getting any sleep, from, you know, homeschooling and being with the kids. So anyway, by the time I have my third, which was in like 2018, and it was a blessing, I was happy, but it led me deep into depletion. For some things, you have to experience them. Sometimes people will tell you, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, and you try your best. And I see this all the time with people when they're trying to quit habits or when they're trying to live healthily. It's not always as easy as it seems. And this is why I think we shouldn't be so hard on people when it comes to health. We all have our different sort of coping mechanisms and habits based on our life experience, and so some things can be easy for some people, hard for others, and we sometimes have emotional attachments to food, to experiences, to feelings, and sometimes detoxes, exercising, it can be very confrontational to us and sometimes disruptive to our daily routines. I know there's so many amazing long-term effects, and there are those days where you just have to like force yourself. I can't mention my health journey without mentioning meditation and mental health. I had been meditating for 5 minutes a day when I had my first 2. Then there was sort of a long twilight where I had just no sense of what was going on with my third, and then I got back into my meditation practice for about 30 minutes to an hour a day, which definitely helped me tremendously with being able to get out of that fight or flight and calm down and make better choices, like just help me with a little bit more of that mental reset and refocusing and remembering my intention and remembering why I am doing this, why I'm going through these steps to change, why I even bother trying in the first place. I have had a lot of times where I wasn't focused on my health and was just trying to get through the day-to-day, just like everyone else. I am not one of those people where it's easy for me to get up early and do what I need to do. Someone who likes to take things at my own pace. And in a sense, I do that with my health. I listen to my body. I don't just do what people tell me to do. I feel out how I feel, and I push myself as far as I really believe I should be pushed. I didn't force myself to work out or do yoga right after having my kids. I allowed myself to have rest. I noticed that the longer that I allowed my body to rest and recover, the faster my body would heal after childbirth. And I wasn't completely prepared. None of us are for the hormonal changes. I didn't know what to expect. You know, there are certain times where maybe your hormones do one thing, but for a different pregnancy, they're doing another thing. But a lot of emotional roller coasters. So I didn't know which way was up. And I'm just trying to like figure it out. During COVID, my husband was home, and I had wanted to be a vegan for a long time, and it's mainly for the animals. I just have a sensitivity to the fact that the creatures are helpless. Suffering sometimes really gets me down when I think about how much suffering there is in the world, and so you can make fun of me if you want. It's just I'm a sensitive person. So I wanted to try veganism, and also I had heard some good things. So I was vegan for about 2 years. Because Brennan was home, he was able to help me a lot more with cooking, and he is really the chef and the person who loves food and nutrition. I'm not so much a nutrition lover as much as I am understand your hormones and do what's healthy and natural. That's kind of just what I'm about, but I'm not so much about diet. That's more my husband. So he was able to make us all kinds of really rich, full foods with all kinds of vegetables, beans and rice and exotic things. And I also realized that we are in a position of privilege being able to be vegan. I remember when we did a couple of road trips across the country, there are a lot of places where it's actually quite difficult to find those healthy foods, or you got to know where to go and where to find the farmers that you like. So I recognize that being in Southern California, I'm in the perfect spot and one of the most accommodating places to be vegan, with a lot of different options. I felt the best on my vegan diet. I felt the best I've ever felt in my entire life. My body was banging. I was seeing a personal trainer, and I just dropped all this water weight. All of the dairy had caused me to really break out, and I also had a bad habit, to my shame at the time. I would eat the food from the Starbucks drive-thru because I was just going, especially when we were traveling a lot and I had the kids with me a lot in the car. I just needed quick food, and so that caused me to break out. So if anything, on the vegan diet, I would say I felt the most amazing. I tried foods I'd never tried before, and I think most people become healthy on a vegan diet simply from the fact, not just from the health benefits of it, but because you're really bringing in a lot more fruits and vegetables that maybe you wouldn't have been eating before. And my husband went back to work. It was simply too difficult for me to keep up with it. So I was really only able to be vegan for maybe 2 years or maybe a year and a half. Every time now to this day, I eat vegan when I eat out. I eat vegan as much as possible in the home, but because I was hit by a really stressful year, 2021 and 2022 were also very difficult years for me because of how difficult they were, and because of how much stress just blew and smacked my life. As soon as I felt strong and ready and all my kids were no longer being potty trained, and I was working and going, I was suddenly hit smack. The vegan diet was simply no longer sustainable. I was not able to cook and create the diversity of meals that I needed. And also, I was really dropping in weight from the stress. I remember even that I had a lot of extreme manic states, making choices I wouldn't make, or like really making a lot of crisis decisions, and sometimes being in a panic, not having a regular sleep pattern, and just feeling kind of like a crazy person. I really had to take a step back and reevaluate what was going on and reorient myself. So I had moved a lot, I had shifted a lot of relationships, friendships, business experiences, just stress and good and bad, and so I felt like I was up and down and like super highs, super lows. Yeah, so I can't complain. It's just that there was a point where I was so skinny. I was like 100 pounds, and my regular weight is about 113. So it was just very concerning. So this is where the part where I really want to talk about the aspect of health that is the mental health. And I'm so happy to see that the younger generations now are embracing therapy and mental health and making this a more well-known thing. That seems like a huge effort from a lot of people to really get this out there, and I really am appreciative of it, because I was able to I got therapy for which now I'm really benefiting. Therapy for me was really essential, to have someone come and help you out and sort of be a support for you, especially since I have been hyper independent. I really needed someone to come alongside me and help me a little bit more. And so I think that there's no shame in saying that you need help. And I want to make another note that I had begun hanging out with more women who showed me that there were women out there and groups of people out there who are willing to be supportive of their friends and really be a community to each other. I had this friend group that kind of showed me how to have fun again. I just had this realization that I hadn't had fun in years, and they showed me that women can take care of each other, and it was quite beautiful. Really taking care of each other when we were each going through a hard and difficult time, they really would rise to the occasion, and that was inspiring to me. So I just will never underestimate the power of community again, or of mentorship. It showed me that it's not just eating healthy or working out, your own personal meditation practice, but it's also the people in your life who are going to help, who are really going to help you through those hard times. I could give back as well, and I had a place, and that I had a place and a purpose in the community too. I think belonging was a huge part of what I needed to get healthy. Anyway, so what am I eating like now? Through my whole life, I have always felt the best eating a Mediterranean type diet, but I'm not vegan anymore. Now I'm pescatarian in order to keep up those healthy fats in my body and not become depleted. From time to time, I eat eggs. I eat fruits for their antioxidants. I probably won't ever go back to dairy. I was really breaking out, and my skin has never felt better. My gut has never felt better. I can't really see myself ever going back to dairy. Maybe I would go back to like goat cheese. I don't know, but I pretty much eat a vegan diet. Trying my best to prepare the foods organically instead of buying microwave foods. But to be honest, as a mom, I do have a lot of, not microwave foods, but heatable, I don't use the microwave, but heatable meals, like frozen meals. I just eat fish, and I probably will never go back to eating cow or pigs just because I genuinely love those sweet creatures. I feel awkward saying it out loud, but I do. I love cows and I love pigs, and I love animals. I just feel like because of how much cows and pigs are slaughtered and killed, it's just because of how many cows and pigs we use and who are killed every day, I probably will never go back to eating those animals. But for now, I eat eggs in order to keep up my energy and be there healthy and present for my kids. And my kids as well have never been vegan. They are pescatarian like I am, just because there aren't enough studies for me and my husband to know whether or not a vegan diet is something that it would be healthy for our kids. But anyway, I hope that this was interesting and helpful to you. I'm also feeling strong, and I'm back up to my healthy weight. So anyway, like I said, I hope that this was helpful. If you're interested in knowing any recipes, my husband loves to cook, loves to share his nutrition information. So on our second channel, Earth and Hair, we'll be posting some recipes there. I'm not really the nutrition person. Emotional health, that's more my vibe. You can keep an eye on our second channel. I think I have that linked on my homepage. Yeah, definitely feel free to discuss in the comments. If these are things that you're interested in and you just like to chat about these and listen to other people chat about these subjects, then you can go ahead and subscribe to my channel to see more of my regular videos. But until then, I'm gonna go outside before all the snow melts. Yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, evening. Yeah, I wish you the best.